On this edition of Bills Pod Squad, we'll take a look back at the Bills' fourth quarter comeback against the Rams. We'll answer some of your most pressing questions for Kim Pegula, and we'll catch up with Raiders owner Mark Davis, who has a soft spot for Bills Mafia. Episode 4 starts now. Welcome into Bills Pod Squad, a podcast that takes you behind the scenes of our players and people all around the league. Maddy Glab and Bills owner and president Kim Pegula here as your host. We'll have an interview with Raiders owner Mark Davis. He gets into moving to Las Vegas, things that he's learned from his father, Al, and talks a little bit about his love life. Before we get into that interview, Kim, we've got to recap the game a little bit. Oh my gosh.
Can you see my gray hair?
Fourth quarter comeback win again.
I got way more gray hair now. Oh my gosh, yes. It was a game of just roller coaster emotions. Like, how well were we playing in that first half?
I was like, you know what? We're up by this much,
like,
28-3. Like, I'm just going to go take a nap because we're just going to kill this team.
Effortless. And of course, there was a huge talk about, the two Sean's, young coaches, the offenses that both teams have, the quarterbacks, the young quarterbacks. And so you're like, I'm already amped up, like before the game, knowing that this is going to be a huge contest. And then we go up 28-3, and it's like, wait, what just happened? Like, what's going on? And then you could go completely the other way.
Yeah. The beginning of the game, I was thinking, like, this is going to be such a tough matchup for these two teams. Like, week 3, this is basically a playoff game here, like reading about everything the Rams had done in the previous weeks and then just watching the Bills in the previous weeks. I was like, wow, this is going to be such a great game. And then we started and we go up 28-3, and I'm like,
yeah, but then
maybe they're not the real deal.
Yeah, then the game started. Yeah. So of course, obviously a tale of two halves, as they call it. But you know what? This is where they always talk about. Coach talks about it, just finding ways to win. There is going to be no perfect game, right? You're going to have these ups and downs. Sometimes you're going to be on the right side. Sometimes you're going to be on the wrong side. And how we manage those games during the whole flow of it, and then getting the W at the end. That was classic. And yes, just a lot of. Good thing they didn't have the camera. There's a lot of just, loud noises coming from our booth.
I need to ask you about your booth.
Up and down. Can you hear us?
I cannot. But from previous podcast episodes, you've kind of explained how the layout has worked this year versus other years, and how, of course, it's different. And right now you're with Terry and with Brandon and with Joe Shane and Dan Morgan and all of those guys. And you said that you've been sitting up top and you like to pace and everything and have your space. Oh,
I was pacing. I think I might have had my head actually on the table for a little bit there near the end. And those guys though, they're right into it. Like, they're just leaning over the table, just staring down at the field. I'm hiding, going, oh my gosh. And the thing is that, so normally, sometimes what I might do is I might go to the bathroom, and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to wait to hear what the crowd noise tells me before I come out, right? But there's no crowd noise. So I'm like, okay, wait, what happened? So I'm like, I got to leave the bathroom. So I have to come out and be like, okay, what happened? So yeah, all my little quirks and things that I do during a game to relieve my anxiety, it's not there anymore. So, but we got the W, we got the win, and another tough match, as we're going to talk about, going out on our first West Coast trip this year. But no fans either there. But I don't know, our team just feels different this year. It really does.
Can you put your finger on what it is that makes the team feel different?
I've talked about this before, the consistency. I do think that getting guys like Dion and Trey signed early, guys though that the organization drafted, right? So guys that you've helped develop and get to a point where they're getting that second contract, and then just having that confidence that you have a coach who he was not a head coach when we first hired him, but obviously he's proven himself over the last 3 years. And then just knowing that he's going to be around and that you're going to grow, no matter the wins or losses, that you know that he's going to show up every day, and these guys are going to learn. And so I think there's that confidence that that it's just, we've been together before. We're going to continue to be together going forward. And just, I don't know, just confidence there that maybe wasn't there in previous years.
Yeah, I think one thing that struck me just hearing from the coaches on Monday after they kind of have watched the game over, processed the crazy game.
Oh, I thought Sean just used that as an excuse not to answer the media. I have to watch the game film?
Yeah, you got to watch the game film.
He really doesn't watch game film?
No, he watches it. So he said that on the headset during that last drive, that the headset between the coaches, it was calm and collected. I would think it's going crazy on the headset.
It was not in our booth.
I was gonna say, how was the booth? Were the guys pretty loud?
Yeah. Good thing there wasn't a lot of fans around us. So yeah, you know what? But that's what you love about football, right? Like the emotion of it, just the raw unknown, and then just waiting for something magical to happen. And when you're on the right side of it, it's just no better feeling. It just but I mean, like I said, that's what sports is about, and just happy we got that win.
Just week 3, there are many more to come. It's crazy to think that
there are 3-0. I know we were 3-0 last year, but. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Just I'm just really happy just the way the team is playing. And we had how many receivers scored, got the ball. It's just not one person. I don't know. Just our offense is really sharing, and they talk about it in their post-game interviews about how much they love each other and how much they're sharing in all the heartache as well as all the successes, and the whole team is. And you can see that playing out on the field. So it's nice to see all that kind of really come together. And Cole Beasley, oh my gosh, just clutching those.
He's having a great season.
Yeah, and those really you need that first down. It's not just a couple of yards
it's a 3rd and 22.
Yeah,
big time yardage.
And then Josh had to do it again. That's so those are So makes for exciting football. I'm telling you. So this is going to be quite a ride this whole season.
Oh my gosh, I cannot wait. It's been a fun start. Can't wait for more week 4 against the Raiders. But Kim, you just brought up the fact that this team has said multiple times it's different in the locker room. It's a family atmosphere. We love each other. It's obvious. You can see that on social media. You can see that watching practices. You can see that within the staff interacting with each other. When you and Terry took over the franchise as owners, where did that rank in the list of things you want in a team and you want in a coaching staff and you want in players? Because it seems like this has been something that has been building since you and Brandon and Sean really got here.
Yeah, I've always felt, and Terry has too, that in our hearts that that yes, you need skill, right? You need those playmakers, you need skill, but there's something more that actually just gets you over that hump, right? And sometimes it may not be all about the best player on the team. It's about the parts and the pieces all coming together. And so we've always believed that. Now, every team will have the same verbiage. Every team, no matter what sport, every coach says those same words. But when you really actually see it happening, and like you said, you can tell it by the actions, right? So Josh isn't just saying, I love you, right? He's actually going out there, and you saw him, just talking to the guys on the sidelines. You see the connection that they have. Just listening to the coaches, you can see. So it's just how hard they fight for each other. And just that confidence, just not going to give up, because I think, one of the things that Coach has really done is for these players is really connected them with our community, and the type of community that we are. And the players are feeding off of that. Even though they're not there in the stands, they understand what kind of people that Buffalo is, and they're playing like Buffalo would play.
And I've got to bring up something that happened outside of the Bills-Rams game this weekend, something really special for women in this league in general. We saw history made during the Browns and Washington game. Callie Brownson, who we really know well and love a lot, she's with the Browns now. Jennifer King and Sarah, so it was 2 opposing assistant coaches and a full-time ref all women at one game together. We haven't seen that before, so history was made this weekend. Callie was here last year as a coaching intern. She's now with the Browns as the chief of staff for Kevin Stefanski, and then Jennifer King is an offensive intern for the Washington football team.
Yes, so cool to see that. It really was, and I'm glad that it got so much attention because I really think that it's deservingly so because we haven't seen that, right? And what I love, listen, Callie was with us. What I love, and I'm really proud of our organization, is our role that we played with Callie. Because listen, it's easy just to say, hey, yeah, we'll hire an intern, we'll hire an assistant coach, a female, and kind of just check the box and say those things. But but developing someone, helping develop Callie to a point where another team wants them, right? For a higher position. Like to me, that says we're moving in the right direction. I think I just really proud of our own team in the role that we had to play with Callie because, like I said, we were trying to develop and make people better, be better coaches, and we want success for them. And even though Callie's not with us anymore, we really wished her all the best luck, and we're so happy that she was getting recognized and getting that promotion in Cleveland. So, and don't forget, Cleveland, Dee Haslam is also co-owner. So there's, I don't know where she was, but she should have been in that picture as well.
Totally, and we hope that instances like this can become more normal, and it's not just a one-time thing. It's not just making history. It's after this that this happens a second time, a third time, a fourth time, a fifth time, to the point where hopefully in 5 to 10 years this is something that's regular.
Yep.
All right, let's get into our interview with Mark Davis. It was an awesome conversation that we had with him about what it went into the move to go to Las Vegas, how he's liking Las Vegas, and what he thinks of this Raiders team this year. The Bills Pod Squad is brought to you by New York Lottery. Play the new Skee Ball Scratch-Off game and you could catch up to $60,000. Must be 18 years or older to purchase a lottery ticket. Mark, thank you so much for being on with us. We know you are just as busy as Kim is, so we do appreciate both of your time. And of course, we're having you on this week because the Bills are heading to Las Vegas to play the Raiders. And you guys have had a pretty hot start to the season, just like the Bills have. 2-1 through the first 3 weeks. You start off the season at home with a win in the first game in Allegiant Stadium. What are your thoughts on the team this year and what they could do this season?
Well, we have a young team. We're 2-1 right, 2-1 right now. It's just early in the season. There's so much that goes on during the season. The team you start with in the beginning is not the team you end up with at the end. It's a war of attrition, and you just hope that you can stay healthy. And at the end of the season, by the time if you got a chance to get into the playoffs, that you've got full force. Yeah, so no. I really don't try to judge it right now. This is such a unique season. The fact that we had no preseason games. We've had 3 regular season games. And I don't want to say that this 4th one coming up is our 4th preseason game, but it almost feels like that to me. You see a lot of the soft tissue injuries and things like that are popping up all over the league. And I think it shows that there's got to be some type of a preseason or something, but I don't know how far we go with that.
Yeah. Well, Mark,
I'm excited about the team.
Yeah, your only one loss has been kind of the thorn in our side, in our division, New England. We were hoping that this year that things might change a little bit with Tom Brady now not in our division, but the Patriots, unfortunately, are still looking pretty darn good. So we have yet to play them, but now you guys know how we feel. Twice this season, every year for a long, long time. So, but congratulations not only on the great start you've had, but also on having a brand new stadium in Las Vegas. Tell us, how did I know you weren't at the game, but just I'm sure the emotions of it, as this season started with the craziness that has gone on with COVID, that and actually saying our doors are open, we're actually playing a game. Tell us what that was like.
Wow, it's so emotional and it's so amazing. For many years we've been looking for a home that we could call our home,
All right. So
And
how
after six,
long? When you say many years, how many years? Like from start to
well,
finish?
the Raiders started out in 1960. I wasn't with them then. My father was with the Los Angeles Chargers
Sure.
for that first year in
Yeah.
1960 of the AFL. But Oakland started in 1960, the Oakland Raiders, and they didn't have a home in Oakland. So for the first 2 seasons, they played in San Francisco at Candlestick Park and Kezar Stadium. And then in 1962, they built a 22,000 seat stadium called Yule Field, and it was named after an Oakland undertaker, nonetheless.
Okay.
And the Raiders played there for 4 years. I was there when my father came to the Raiders. That's where we first played, was Yule Field. Then in 1966, they opened the Oakland Coliseum. And that's back in the day when they had multi-purpose stadiums were the new thing. And it really was magnificent. The idea of bringing a baseball team in, having a football team, and it, being able to shift between the two. And it made Oakland a big league city when the A's came and the Raiders were there and we had this great thing going and everything. So for, I'd say 16 years when we played in the Oakland Coliseum, we did have a home field advantage and it was pretty good. But what happened is in the National Football League, it became clear that local revenues were going to be the difference between teams because of the shared revenues, the television and everything. That local revenues were really the difference. And when you looked at it, it was the stadiums that were really going to be a big difference, and luxury suites for the money that wasn't being shared between the teams. So if you had luxury suites, you had a competitive advantage in revenue. So the Raiders were trying to get luxury suites in the stadium and try to bring the stadium up into a competitive advantage, or at least competitive with the other teams. And we couldn't get a deal done with Oakland. So that's when we moved to the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum in Los Angeles. Historic. I loved it. But again, we never got to the point where we got the luxury suites and those things that we needed to compete. So we moved back to Oakland. And so I guess moving is part of our DNA, but we went back to Oakland. We've been there for 25 years and the stadium just wasn't up to par anymore. It was 50 years old. And we worked really hard with Oakland to try to get something done. Couldn't get it done. Tried to go to LA or tried to do a deal with the Chargers as partners to go into Los Angeles. We were voted down by the National Football League. And so we went back to work with Oakland. Couldn't get anything done again. And then Las Vegas came to the forefront. And I've never worked with a group of politicians that were so open, honest, and transparent than they were. And Governor Brian Sandoval, at the time, we looked each other in the eye, we shook hands, and we both stuck to what we said we would do. And now we have one of the most magnificent stadiums in the world. We really do. And it's a shame when all your dreams come true and then real life steps in the way.
Yeah.
And that's really what's happened right now. And so opening night, I say it was a really emotional night for me. And we light a torch for my father before every game. And we have a celebrity or a former Raider or somebody to light it. And I wasn't sure we were going to light it for this game. And then the only person I really thought that would be suitable to do it would be my mother. So my mom came down, and prior to the game, she lit the torch for my father at the stadium for the first time. And it just was one of those magical moments. So I guess that's a short answer or long answer to your question.
Just tell us about your vision for the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
It looks so sleek, so cool. Looks, we were talking about how the Raider fan base is just so identifiable, and that stadium, at least what we've seen on TV, it just looks like an angry Raiders fan. It does, but it looks like an angry Raiders fan.
All black on the outside.
Yeah.
It's a little scary.
Yeah, it is. I'm a little scared to go there.
It's interesting. When we played in Los Angeles at the LA Memorial Coliseum, they had the peristyle in with the torch, the Olympic torch there at the end and everything. And that always struck me as something that was iconic. And so in speaking with David Manica, who did the architectural design for the stadium, I told him that I was looking for something that would be somewhat of a U shape with a peristyle end and a torch. And we started working. And he's just really a magnificent architect. He's somebody that he's got an ego. You know, none of these architects have egos, right? But he, he was willing to listen, and we were able to work together. And I'd say I got about maybe 90% of what I wanted, maybe 85% of what I wanted. And I consider that a victory. Um, the stadium is a football stadium first. That's what we designed it for, to play football in it. Having grass was very important to me. And the Bidwells initially took the risk to try to do that, where they grow the grass outside and roll it into the stadium in Arizona. And they helped. We consulted with them. They helped us quite a bit, and we tried to take it to the next level and have grass inside the stadium. The black sleek look is definitely something that's part of Raider Nation, and it does look like a Raider stadium. I think my dad would be proud of it. I do think he would be happy with it. But again, I can't speak for him. So, again, I guess somebody's gonna have to ask him themselves.
Well,
But
what about your
we are
what
so
about
proud
your
of it.
fan base though in Oakland? How have they transitioned into you coming into Vegas? Like I said,
It's
those Raider fans are pretty strong. I'm sure they're willing to travel.
They are willing to travel. I'll tell you, it's been a couple of year process, probably a 4-year process once we announced our move to Las Vegas. The one thing that we always were with the fans was transparent. We were always honest with them. We never sugarcoated anything. Always let them know that we wanted to stay in Oakland, but we needed help. And that was really the rallying cry that we had. We really wanted to stay, but we did need help. And we just couldn't get it there. But I'd say 90% of the people that I speak to are okay with the move. They're not okay with the move. They're okay with the way the process happened. And they're really looking forward to coming to Las Vegas. About maybe 10 to 12% of our fans that bought PSLs here are from Oakland. So we have a good contingent coming down. We have also a contingent coming from Los Angeles. And then, of course, we have the local fans here in Las Vegas. So it's really a gathering of the Raider Nation. It will be once the Govee Pirates is overcome.
Well, the last time I saw you, Mark, was actually in Vegas and at a hockey game, right? So the Vegas
That's
Golden
right.
Knights. Certainly, they went far in the playoffs this year, but they were ahead of you in bringing professional sports to Vegas. And certainly, the success that they have had kind of also, I think, helped lead the way that showing that Vegas can be a two-sport professional team. The fan base is there. The people want to come. Vegas has had no shortage of fans in their arena, and so I wouldn't expect anything less with the Raiders there as well. It's crazy. Like, we saw each other, like I said, in Vegas. Like, that was like near the end of February, and then a few weeks later, like, everything was shut down. It's been a crazy several months. Obviously you were planning on opening this season anyways, but what were some of the biggest difficulties you had going from the pandemic and opening up a stadium that maybe you weren't really expecting this pandemic to happen right when you're trying to get everything kind of, nailed in and finalized?
Yeah, it's again, I call it the Twilight Zone. It's just incredible that, again, all of our dreams are coming true, and then real life did step in the way. We were prepared to open the stadium. We were ready for all those Buffalo Bill fans to come into town. In fact, I believe there's 2 Buffalo Bills bars designated in Las Vegas right now. So you guys actually have a place for your fans here in Las Vegas to hang out on Sundays and Mondays and whatever other day of the week. But to me, it was an easy decision to say all or none. It's a brand new stadium. If we were playing somewhere where we played all these years and the fans were accustomed to the stadium and all of that, it would have been easy maybe to say, okay, we'll have 20% of the people come to this game and kind of do each game with 20% of different people and all that. But the fact that it's a brand new stadium, inaugural day, the very first game, I couldn't tell one person that they can't go and everybody else can. That it was all or none. So we just made it that this season we're not going to have fans in the stadium, and if there's not going to be fans, then I won't be there yet. And
So,
that's just the way.
So what's your game day ritual now? Not being at the games. Where
First
do you
game,
watch your
what we
game?
did is we invited all the people that helped us get to Las Vegas, Governor Sandoval, Steve Hill, all the people that worked in the community, the people that worked, some of the people at the hotels like Bill Hornbuckle, who was MGM and is now on the Las Vegas Stadium board, and all of those people. We invited them over to the Raider facility for a watch party, and we donated $500,000 to charity and gave it to the Lou Ruvo Brain Center that is working for cures to concussions and things of that nature, and then to the Opportunity Village, which is for underdeveloped kids. That it's a really great facility in Las Vegas, and so we gave $250,000 to each of them as a thank you for bringing us here to Las Vegas.
Well, I know that the draft got postponed this year. It was supposed to happen in Vegas, but you are getting it in 2022. But so I'm expecting that next season, when we're allowed to have fans back in, that you're going to have an even bigger party than maybe you originally thought that you would have this year. So congratulations to all the success that you've had. The transition, I know it's not easy, and as you said, the many years that you've put into getting a stadium like this, one-of-a-kind stadium. And I know I am going to the games, and I am so much looking forward to seeing the finished product with or without fans. So I'm very excited about this weekend and our matchup. So you had a question?
Yeah, I have just a question about moving a team like the Raiders to Vegas. I mean, you think about the name the Raiders and you think about what the fan base means and what the fans look like and how passionate they are for a team like the Raiders. What is it like moving this team to Vegas, an iconic fan base, an iconic team that your father helped build and build this brand of the Raiders? The Raiders are such a big brand in itself, and to move a brand like that your father helped make to an iconic city like Las Vegas with a huge brand as well. What do you think about these two brands pairing with each other to create something new and have, an inaugural season like you're having right now?
Well, it is a symbiotic relationship. You're exactly right. Las Vegas. What we're trying to do here is we're taking the history of Las Vegas and the history of the Raiders, and they meet at the stadium basically, and that's kind of what we're trying to do. The first thing we did when we got the okay to move here was to get into the community. Even though we were still playing in Oakland for 2 or 3 years, we wanted to get in the community, meet the people, and they're so welcoming. It's unbelievable. And it's a very strong community. You think that Las Vegas is a splintered group because people come from everywhere. But they've had, when we came here, there's been two tragedies, so to speak. They had the 10-1, they had the shooting. And this community pulled together, again, behind the Golden Knights, as Kim was saying, and really showed the strength of the community, Vegas strong. And then, so that's how our groundbreaking started, was at that point. And now our ribbon cutting, which is going to be postponed for a year, is based on the virus. But the people here have been so welcoming. Everywhere I go, people are thanking me for bringing the Raiders here, and I thank them for bringing us here. So it's a love relationship right now. It might be a honeymoon if we don't win some more games. You know how that goes in life. But it's so special to be here, and the brand, like you say, our brand is not really a local brand. It's a national and more so on a global brand. We know that, and so the main thing that we do is protect that brand, protect that shield, and know where we came from. We know. I always say that our most valuable asset is our alumni, because it's their blood, sweat, and tears that put us in the position that we're in today. So that's what we always do. And so everything that we do is respecting our players, our former players, and the people in the Raider family. And that's really where we're at. And I just know that this week we got a tough young team coming in with a young quarterback that's kind of lighting the fire up. So we're a little concerned.
Well, Mark, so obviously you grew up in a football family. Football, the Raiders is all you've ever known, the only team obviously you've ever loved. When was the first time you came to a Buffalo Bills game? Here in Buffalo.
In Buffalo? In Buffalo?
Yeah.
I don't know if I was ever at War Memorial. I don't believe I was, but I do remember fires and things in that the old days. But I do remember coming, I guess it was Rich Stadium at the time.
Yep.
When it first opened up, or it might have been even, I think is that what it was when it opened? Or
It was Rich Stadium, then it was Ralph Wilson Stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so I do remember going there, and I'll tell you, the battles that we had with the Jim Kelly Buffalo Bills were epic. And we ended up on the short end of those, unfortunately. Yeah. And that was during those 4 Super Bowl runs that you guys had. And just some great games, great teams.
I hope our fans were as welcoming to you guys as your fans are welcoming to us. I think we played you a few years ago, and I tell you, I was
2017.
I knew I had made it when I was able to get through the Raider fan base, like getting to the stadium in a golf cart. I was a little worried, but I'm sure we gave it right back to you guys.
Yeah, the Bills fans didn't look intimidating at all in that 3 below 0 with no shirts on. And drinking beers in the snow. No, not intimidating at all. No, you guys have one of the greatest fan bases of all. For them to come out there in the elements like they do and cheer that team on, you should be pretty proud of that.
Well, a lot of times, you have conversations, and your father is also always part of that conversation. And I did not realize that you took over the team in 2011, not that far removed when Terry and I came into the league. So, I thought I was the rookie, but you, of course, have had a lot more experience than Terry and I have. So kind of just tell us, and I've got 3 kids, they're all in their early 20s, and, trying to figure out like how to navigate them and how to bring them into the football family beyond our generation. So I just would love to get some insight from you, growing up in a football family. Maybe, some tales of how your parents treated you and what you were allowed to do and some of the memories you have growing up in football.
Sure. It's really interesting. My father was a football man. That's really all he was really concerned with in life. He studied military stuff. He was very studied in history and things of that nature, but football was his life. And he allowed me to be around the team and do whatever I wanted around the team and everything. And back in the day, he would be watching film every night, and I would be allowed to go in there and watch him with the film and everything. But I always understood that it was his life that he was building then. It wasn't really his job to teach me about it, so to speak. It was more osmosis, because he was creating his own life and actually doing it. And I didn't think that I needed to have him actually teach me the things, but he let me be around it, let me be in coaches' meetings, let me be in meetings, let me be around it if I wanted. He didn't force me to do it or anything of that nature. So I ended up working around the perimeters of the team, starting the merchandise program, things like that. I would look for things where I felt that we hadn't taken advantage of, and as we're growing into the new future and all of that. Started with the internet and things like that. So I would bring different things to the table that might not have been a part of the organization.
Did you ever have to work in the equipment room?
I certainly did. I started as a water boy back in I was probably I don't know if I was 12 or 13 at the time.
Yep.
And started in there, picking up jock socks and t-shirts, doing everything that it took. And that's the important thing. So I was in a position to learn from the bottom up. And I think that's really important to understand. So you respect everybody, the guys that are picking up jock socks and t-shirts. Yeah. That they're people that feel as much about the team as you do. And it's funny, Mark Bedane was one of those people. When he started out, he was a driver for my dad, very young and everything. And now he's the president of the team. So
Well, and he's a
it's,
Rochester native, so he's a
he
Western New
certainly
Yorker.
is.
So
That,
I got to put that plug
that's
in there.
right. He did tell me that he had some ties to you there.
Yeah.
But you know, it was never forced on me. I was allowed. I was always like, I love the players. So he always told me that, you know, I wasn't going to be very good at being running the team because I am too close to the players. And I've been able to get over that, but it still hurts me really deeply if I have to say to somebody that, you know, your time is up. It's been really hard, and I've had to do that to some really good friends as players, you know, and things like that. So that's been a tough part. But I think not being forced into it, given the opportunity to learn what I was interested in, made it possible for me to do it. And studying both the moves from Oakland to Los Angeles and Los Angeles back to Oakland made me realize how important the community is in everything that you do. Because if you're 12 and, you know, 16 and 0, you're doing pretty good. Just win, baby, works. But if you're not 16 and 0 and you're doing 12 or doing 14, you need the support of the community. And if you haven't given them the support, they're not going to give it back. So I think that's a really important lesson that I learned through Oakland and Los Angeles, that we definitely took advantage of here in Las Vegas and made it a key prerogative to do.
Do you have a favorite story about your dad that many people don't know that you'll remember forever?
There's so many. But I tell you, it's just, I think it's a lot of the things that he did for people off the field that people don't know about and he didn't talk about. And I'm talking about for players for other teams and things of that nature. I think that's the thing where he really stood head and above. And I think that's where we got the idea that the most valuable asset we have is our alumni. It's family, and it's a Raider family, and we treat everybody that way. And individual stories, there's just too many of them.
I will say, Mark and I, we get to be in the owner's room at our owner's meeting. And so the way the room is set up, Mark and I we're very fortunate, Mark, we sit at the end where we are closer to the snacks, closer to the bathroom, closer to the exit. But I will tell you, one of the things that I remember coming in as a new owner, and one of the reasons we wanted to be such a part of the National Football League is that all the owners in there, it is a very family oriented.
Yeah.
There's ownership there, like Mark himself, who have had generations, in the family, who started the team as part of their family legacy. There's daughters in there, there's sons in there. So it's really nice to kind of, as big and as, kind of whatever negative you might have about the NFL, it is a family first organization and a league, and every club has that as part of their core. So I love to hear these stories, Mark.
Well, I will say this, and it might be family oriented, but it's a tough room. Don't make any mistake about it. There's 32 tough ideas in that room, and people aren't afraid to share them.
Yep.
I'll leave it at that.
Well, yeah. What stays in the owner's room, it stays there.
Yeah,
so.
But take me outside of the room a little bit. Let's have some of what stays in the room travel outside that you can talk about. What is it like to be in those owners' meetings? I mean, you guys are so busy as owners of a football team, National Football League. To be able to come together for a weekend every year, what is it like to catch up with each other, to bounce ideas off of each other? I mean, what goes on in that room during that weekend?
Well, I think the idea sharing is good and all that, but I'll tell you that our staffs do a lot of the work. Mm-hmm. Mark Bedane, is at those meetings. He does a lot of the fulfillment and the activation in that room. I'm there, and I'm definitely taking it all in, and obviously it's one of the most important things in the world is being in those meetings. But at the same time, you got to have people around you that can fulfill the stuff, that can actually activate on those things. We have Dan Ventrelli, who's also another young guy that just does a tremendous amount of work for us. It's really important, as I said, the one thing I know is what I don't know. And I'm going to hire people that do know those things. And we've got a really, really good staff of people that know their lanes and know where their positives are, and they take care of that. So I'm not afraid to delegate. And what I do is those people is I set goals and then let them spread their wings and try to fulfill them. And the results speak. And that's pretty much the philosophy that we've got going. So sitting in that room, sometimes I'm amazed at some of the conversation that goes on, and I'm wondering where the heck it comes from. But there's a couple of people in there that I would say dominate the room, and I'll let Kim say who they are if she wants.
Well, I'm one of those. I like to work behind the scenes, so I am not one of those that are dominating the conversation. That Mark is. I promise, I'm not one of those. I like to work behind the scenes. But
there's a couple that do, aren't there?
Yeah. But you know, but it's a special group, Mark. I mean, there's only 32 of us.
Oh my God.
And I mean, your father obviously spent a lot less money buying the team than we did, but we're all equals there, and we're a very small group, but all I know are so fortunate and feel so blessed to be part of the National Football League, and it's just fun. I tell people all the time, like, listen, I do what I do because I love doing it. Like, it is fun, and I hope I never, we're going on year 6 of ownership, I hope I never lose that. And Mark, I can tell every time I see you, you are smiling. It doesn't matter what is going on. You have a smile on your face. And I said, that's why I want to make sure I never lose that feeling of just feeling special as being part of an ownership group in the National Football League.
The thing you and I have to do is we got to get in the playoffs a little more often.
We do. Yeah, we do.
That's the part that'll really make it smile.
Well, we like to go first before you, so give us a little leeway on Sunday. So just to go back to Vegas. Now you've spent some time there. You're building a home. You're there now permanently. Your favorite hot spot to go to? What that the locals go to now for food?
But again, everyth's been shut down. You don't know on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday where you can go. There's a place that's a lot of the local places I like to go to that I found some. There's one called the Bootlegger that's open 24 hours, or was until the shutdown, the quarantine, and all that. The Wynn has some beautiful restaurants. The Venetian. There's so much varied stuff around here, and there's just so much to do that you don't even feel like you have to do anything because you can do it anytime you want.
Yeah, my problem is I'm not there long enough.
So you want to do it all when you're there.
Well, I'm only there usually like 3 days at the most, right? And so you go to all your favorite spots and you don't get to really see.
Out.
And then this year when we're traveling there, we can't even leave the hotel, so we can't do anything, right? So no In-N-Out burger. Our team is very depressed. We can't get In-N-Out burger.
It's the little things.
Yeah. What about? So I said I really want to ask you this question, Mark.
Okay.
So how's your love life? Do you have a special girl? Do you have a special girl?
I don't have I do see one girl quite a bit. She lives in Los Angeles, so we're not in the same area code all the time. But Sandy, I think you've seen her. She comes to all the Super Bowls with me and everything. She's very, very close to me.
I am looking forward to the whole Bills fan base. Bills Mafia is looking forward to seeing you, each other play on Sunday, getting a glimpse into your beautiful new stadium. And
I hope you like it. I really do.
You know what? I liked it like when it was 80% done back in February. So I am sure that I'm going to love it. And I'm going to be taking lots of notes, believe me. So, but thank you, Mark. I really appreciate it. Stay safe.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
Yeah,
really do.
Good luck this Sunday. But
all right, you guys.
Not too much.
Have a wonderful afternoon.
All right.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
The Buffalo Bills are proud to partner with National Grid in promoting the Safety First initiative, where every time a Bills safety makes a tackle at home, National Grid will donate $50 to the 100 Club of Buffalo in support of first responders and their families. National Grid reminds you to put safety first in your home with this easy tip. Check the batteries in your carbon monoxide detectors regularly. All right, Kim, let's get into Ask the Owner. It's our segment presented by Connect Life. And our first question is from Anthony Riscati. He says, when making hiring decisions like GM or head coach, what qualities and or tendencies do you look for in a candidate?
Wow, okay, there's a lot there. My goodness. Probably I have a little bit too much experience in this area, so it's a topic I can talk about a lot. I think we need to get Terry on here to answer some of these, ask the owners
Yes.
on here. I would say, so, listen, these interviews that you do for a coach or a GM, it's interesting because for Terry and I, have not been in the league that long, so we did not have this big network of coaches or assistant coaches or coordinators that we could kind of really pull from. So we had to like go on recommendations, some lists that the league gave me. We had to look at some videos, and so when we decided to go with Sean, one of the things that really impressed us, I've talked about this a lot, it's the stuff outside the X's and O's. It is the stuff that the intangible things. It's the things about managing your time, managing the people, how you communicate. Even just like your beliefs in your personal beliefs, the role your family plays, your outside interests. And I know that sounds kind of weird sometimes, like, well, you're focusing on that when you're like, your reason you're switching a coach is because, you probably had a bad season and you're trying to get better. But I will say, and there is no one perfect coach out there. I mean, it sometimes, honestly, sometimes it's a little bit of luck too, right? Like what one coach has had success with one team, a different group of people, and then doesn't have in another one. So you're just trying to find someone that you feel that you can be confident that they're going to represent you as owners and they're going to represent the organization in the way that you want to be represented, and that would make you proud regardless of the wins and losses. Because listen, like there's no guarantees whatever in any coaching hires that they're going to guarantee any type of wins. Even if they say they are, we know that they're not. But there are just some key things that I think are important, and we always forget, like these players, these other coaches, even, the staff in the organization, we're all people, right? And so how you deal with people in general, I think is very key. And just because you know more about an offense or a defense, yes, that's important. Then after that, though, it's how you treat people. And I think those things, I know that Terry and I really look for beyond the X's and O's when we're doing our interviewing. And also, too, I think, when usually it's sometimes, it's just a coach, then sometimes it's a GM, sometimes it's both at the same time, right? So sometimes that kind of throws you off. But I will say that I personally was worried when Brandon's name came up as a GM, because if you remember, we hired Sean first as the coach, because I was like, oh, here we go. Like, this buddy system, you got these Carolina boys, they're kind of, so I was like, maybe they're not being objective, but you can tell right away, once you meet Brandon and you just saw like what he had to offer and the experience that he had and the way he thought, and then you saw him and Sean, talking the same language, and that's so key. Just getting that understanding and really that mutual respect for each other. So, I mean, they were not buddies when they were in Carolina. Obviously, he was, in personnel, and Sean was a coordinator, so they didn't cross, their paths that much, but there was generally a respect that they had for each other. And to start off a relationship, to start off coaching hire and a GM hire with that respect, I'm not surprised where we are.
Yeah, I mean they've garnered the name of McBean.
Yeah.
Sean McDermott and Brandon Bean. Everybody loves those
I know.
two
Can you
together.
tell the love I'm gushing out, right?
All right, our second question from Adam is, how much of your vision for your professional sports franchises comes from the people you put in place to run those franchises versus your own beliefs? Do you feel like it's a 50-50 split, or do you rely heavily on those you hire? It's probably a little bit of both.
Yeah, you know what? There is a little bit of both. Like I said, when you're the new owner, you kind of don't know what you don't know. There's no book out there to tell you what to look for. And so, of course, you are really going to be relying almost 100% on the hires or the people that were there. And they are the ones that are in the trenches every day. So you're like, hey, listen, that's your job. I'm not going to tell you who we're going to pick. I mean, I haven't watched film all year. I haven't gone to see any player play at all, so that's not my job. And so you really have to trust those folks. But I do think after a few years, and especially with the relationship that the coach McDermott and Brandon Bean and Terry and I have with each other, and there's, like I said, that mutual respect, but there's also kind of just, I don't know, we just understand each other now. And so, they take Terry's input, they take my input, they tell us why this doesn't work or why that's a bad idea. And we go through it together. And listen, at the end of the day, yes, I mean, Sean is deciding who's playing on Sunday, and Brandon's deciding who we're picking. But I do think that it's just a better marriage. I think it's just an understanding that, whatever the scheme is or whatever the draft pick is going to be, like, we have a better understanding as to why. And therefore, I think then that gets a little bit, I'm not going to say 50-50. I think it's still kind of like that 70-30 split where it's leaving it up to the GMs and the coaches that you spend a lot of money to make sure like that they're doing their job and you let them do their job. But I think over the years, the relationship really helps build a lot of trust and respect.
And we have one final question from Nicole. She said if she could bring one thing from another stadium 2 hours, what would it be?
Well, let's see. I have not seen the Rams' new stadium, and I only saw 80% of the new Raiders stadium. So this question will probably be better after next week.
After you go visit.
But I will say of the stadiums that I have gone to, one of Seattle. So but it's not a thing, right? It's not like, hey, they have faster Wi-Fi or they've got a bigger jumbotron, right? The feeling and I know the loudness and they call it the 12th man that they call it there, how that can just take over a game. Like, I don't care how a stadium is built, like if you can capture that on a game day, that is such an advantage and just such a great experience. Even if your hot dog is cold, like just that noise and those fans just cheering on the team. It really is. That's really cool. So if I could bring anything to a stadium, I don't know. I'm not an engineer. I don't know how they all do that, but I would definitely say getting that feeling and that emotion, raw emotion of sound in the stadium for the guys to hear.
Yeah. And our fans do a pretty good job of that when they're in the stadium.
They do. Yeah, no, they do, yeah.
And I'm sure, Sean said so many times, and so many of our players have, how much they miss that feeling of the fans being there, and they miss the support of the fans. And Sean touched on it in a press conference. He said, we had to study different leagues who started before us because the momentum swing now without fans can happen so much more quickly than if you actually have fans in a game.
Right. No, I totally agree. Like we talked about the Miami game, the first game we went to with fans. We'll be going to Tennessee next, so they'll have some fans there, so we'll get that. So luckily next week, they're not going to have fans there, so hopefully that might kind of level the playing field a little bit. Did you notice the sound was a little louder this week?
I did. The train horn sounded great. The shout song, you could hear it on the broadcast.
I'm telling you, just a little bit of increase, thank you, League, of getting that sound up does make a difference. Yeah, I could definitely feel the difference.
Yeah, so. It sounded great on TV too. And I think one thing that's nice is if there's going to be no fans, it's nice to hear on the TV broadcast things about that stadium because people don't know necessarily that we have a train horn and some people may not know the shout song, and so to be able to hear that.
Who does not know the shout song? Come on, like everybody knows the shout song.
League might not, I don't know. If you flip on a game for the first time, you're watching the Bills, you're like, this song's pretty catchy. I'm going to go download it now.
You know what, though? I honestly, it's too bad we didn't have fans for the Raiders game. Could you imagine Raider fans and Bills fans, like, just going at it? It would be awesome.
I mean, think back to the last time we played the Titans in Nashville.
Oh, yeah, we took over that.
The fan base took over the city on like Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah, but they're not as crazy as Raiders fans. Titans fans are not as crazy as Raider fans.
I know, but and also to think about how Bills Mafia would take over Vegas for a weekend. They would have been there on freaking Monday. They
That
would
is
have
true.
flown
Well,
on Sunday.
like I said, I know Mark. He's gonna celebrate big next time, next year, next season, whenever it happens. We can get fans back in. I'm sure, like in Vegas style, he's gonna throw a huge party and celebrate it. So we're not gonna be there, but maybe we'll meet them somewhere else
Yeah.
along the way.
Yep.
So, all right.
It'll be a good game Sunday,
Yes, I'm excited to go.
and you get to go.
Yes, we get to go. I know.
Lucky you.
I know. I know. I wish, I was feeling guilty. Like, Mark's like, if
Yeah.
fans aren't going to go, then I'm not going. I'm like, I'm going.
You're like, I'll be there on Saturday.
Yeah, I did. I felt a little guilty there, but I got over it real quickly.
No, it'll be great to see it. Great to see the new stadium. Awesome to see our team playing up against another team outside of the AFC East, just to see how we match up with teams outside of our division. It'll be fun. 425
yeah.
kick too, so
Yeah,
a little
and
bit later.
they're a team that a few years, new coach, new GM, a lot of young players, a lot of draft picks in the last
yeah.
couple of years. Looks like they've been rebuilding, and just like we've seen Josh and our offense kind of really grow over the last 3 years. It seems like maybe the Raiders, that's what they're on the same path. So
Yeah.
just not Sunday.
Not Sunday. We'd rather take a win than see the Raiders
Yeah.
win. But anywho, Kim, thank
right,
you.
thanks.
Thank you to everybody listening. We'll be back next week with
All right,
another
let's-
episode.
All right, see ya. Bye.
Bye.